You can't really ask for a stream to work better than that, can you?
Set your heart free.
Oh, God!
Yeah, bitch! Teabag that!
We got this. Yes.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It has been a minute. Old school with you here. As you probably noticed by the title, we're not going to be doing a whole lot of anything fancy here today. Leo recently had asked me if I was going to participate in an upcoming event on May 4th, which of course is Star Wars Day. And after some thought, I decided I'm not going to, and not because I didn't want to be part of the community, not because I didn't want to contribute, but because I just have zero support for the Walt Disney World Company anymore. And a lot of people have taken a step against Disney or stand against Disney in words, but not a lot of people have really backed it up in action. Now, for those of you that don't know, Disney has not had a good face, and their stocks have taken a major hit because of their decisions. And I, for one, am just over it. As many of you know that watch this channel, I used to work for them. And then the whole COVID thing came along. And I was deemed in one of those many roles. There was about 120,000 of us that were considered to be non-essential. And we've all gone on to find other jobs. Disney, of course, now that they're back up and running, they need people, so they start calling us back. A lot of my friends took it and went back. I told them thanks, but no thanks. In part because I felt it was a slap in the face. The other part was because they were starting to cross bridges that they don't belong on. There's an old saying, know your role and shut your mouth. Disney's role is to entertain. That's it. Make your little cartoons, make your little Pixars, and shut up. Don't put all your gay agenda into Star Wars movies and make Lando gay for robots. There's a lot of issues with Disney right now. I personally, I'm telling you the straight up truth. I could care less if somebody's gay. It doesn't affect me one way or another. I shouldn't know you're gay. You shouldn't be telling me that any more than I'm going to tell you I'm not gay. None of your business, none of my business. What makes you happy? I don't pass judgment. I do pass judgment when you shove it down my throat and tell me, A, that I should be accepting it, which, again, personally I do. I don't care. But when it comes to saying that it's okay to teach it to small children and that Disney as a company is going to take a knee and allow this to foster and control the way they do business, that's too much for me. So some of you might not know exactly what I'm talking about. So I brought some stuff to share with you. and I'll let it speak for itself because it really does.
But now Chris Rufo, a journalist, posted on Twitter some videos that show pretty much exactly what Disney behind the scenes is thinking. Watch this.
Roberts and like our leadership over there has been so welcoming to like my like not at all secret gay agenda.
This is a Disney executive producer. This is a high-ranking individual. Follow along.
And so like I feel like I felt like it was, I mean, like maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess like something must have happened in the last like they are turning it around, they're going hard, and then all that like momentum that I felt, like that sense of I don't have to be afraid to like, let's have these two characters kiss, let's in the background start, like I was just wherever I could just basically adding queerness to like the, if you
look at her, she is giddy about the fact that she's just going to splash gayness all over everything that Disney puts out and promote that to small children.
See anything queer in the show, I'm proud of it. But like I just was like, no one would stop me and no one was trying to stop me.
So it's not an all secret agenda anymore, because that video, which was apparently an all hands meeting about the Florida law, now Chris Rufo has posted that on Twitter and everybody's talking about the woke agenda of the world of Disney.
All right, so that's part one. There's more to come. First off, as she said, not at all secret agenda. Agenda. It's a plan that they have of indoctrinating small children. Again, your preferences are your preferences. You don't have any right to push them on other people. Disney, a lot of you may not know, if you've ever been to a Disney park, they have a spiel that plays over the PA system before parades, before big shows at night, and it says, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages." That's all gone. They don't want to do that anymore because they don't want to offend anyone. They don't want to exclude anyone. Last time I checked, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's everyone. You might be a lady who likes ladies, a boy who likes boys, a gentleman who likes gentlemen, but you're one of those four things. And to say you were excluding somebody, what is the other option? When you have these nutcases that say, I'm non-binary, you're an idiot. Your brain is non-binary. Here's something else.
Developing tonight, big changes coming to Disneyland. Disney is doing away with gendered greetings throughout the park and resort. Gone are ladies and gentlemen or boys and girls. Instead, cast members who recorded messages will use "hello everyone" or "hello friends."
Actually, they went with dreamers of all ages. Don't
Jim
want to
Mance
offend
says
anyone.
at the Masters. The move promoting gender inclusion comes after Disney employees across the country participated in walkouts over Disney's slow response to Florida's recently signed parental rights in education bill.
So now Disney thinks they know their role, but they don't. They make a big mistake here. In the state of Florida, we are governed by what is by far the best governor currently in the United States of America, and definitely in the history of the state of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, who, thank God, has enough common sense that this state kept functioning even through COVID. We were up and running faster than any other state, and don't believe the lies that were shared with you, because they were. I'm living here. I can tell you they were lies. We got up and running. We didn't have people dropping dead at record numbers. It's all a bunch of propaganda crap. We had gatherings earlier than everybody else. People were fine. I was part of them. I work in a facility that hosts large events, arena, sports arena, stadium. We bring in crowds all the time, and we were doing it towards the latter part of COVID, and we were first because we had a governor that allowed it. And a lot of companies, the WWE is a good example, they had to do all their programming in Florida because that was the only place that would allow it to happen. And nobody went and died. Everybody was perfectly fine. Yeah, some people got sick, but it was flu season. You're going to get sick. All right, one more thing.
Joined now by Republican Florida State Representative Joe Harding, who introduced Florida's Parental Rights in Education bill, which has been dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill by...
Got to talk about this. Teachers have been trying to pass on this nonsensical mindset of theirs to children in kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. And those grades have never had and should never have curriculum for sexual education of any kind. Period. At those ages, you shouldn't be discussing those things with children. So the way some of these nutbags got away with it is instead of Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith, the teacher would say, "My name is Mix Smith, MX," instead of MR or MRS. MX says, "I'm non-binary. I don't identify with either male or female." Well, you better figure it out. And if you're not sure, drop your pants and take a look. Because those are the only two options you have. Again, you can be a female that likes females, a male who likes males, but you can't be a third option because there isn't one. You psychotic morons. So, the governor of Florida, again, brilliant man, decides, listen, you're not doing that in this state. So any teacher who brings any sexual orientation programming whatsoever into our schools for kids in kindergarten, first, second, or third grade, you will face legal penalties, including incarceration. You'll be arrested, as you should be. I went through my entire school life and never once had a teacher tell me about their sexual preferences. Yeah, we knew some of them were married. It meant, the guy might say, "Oh, my wife this," or the lady might say, "My husband and my kids." But they didn't promote it in any way. They didn't flaunt it in any way. And it was rare that they even really mentioned it, to be honest with you. Because it doesn't belong in the classroom. Parents get to determine these conversations, not teachers who have a set agenda in mind.
LGBTQ activist. Representative Harding, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on, Lizzie.
So I want to quote from the bill, which says that lessons on, quote, sexual orientation and gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. What are you concerned is happening in kindergarten through third grade classrooms that this bill would stop?
Well, what we have seen here in Florida is we've seen school districts that have curriculum. It's part of their instruction that they teach gender theory and the discussion around gender that comes with that curriculum. We have seen that in school districts in Florida. There's also some school districts that actually have questionnaires that they do with children. And so there is a legitimate concern. And there's been even parents that have reached out, told their story in committee as well, kind of telling their story of this occurring in the classroom with their kids.
So LGBTQ advocates say that this legislation's language is vague and that it will harm LGBTQ youth by implying that students should be ashamed or should suppress their gender identity or sexual orientation. And here's what the CEO of the Trevor Project said in a statement today. Every LGBTQ young person deserves to attend a school that provides an inclusive, affirmative environment, not one that aims to erase their existence. We know that LGBTQ youth already face higher risk for bullying, depression, and suicide, and this bill will only add to the stigma that fuels these disparities. What's your response to that concern?
Well, my response would be that he's leading an effort that's the biggest fear-mongering effort and that the media has done in working with groups like him in recent history. This bill, we led off and called it, and we said that you said that the critics call it the Don't Say Gay bill. So I just did a little research before the interview of the hundreds of articles that have been written that have called it the Don't Say Gay bill for the over 6 weeks that this has been in the national news. Not one of them's acknowledged that the word gay is never in the bill. The word LGBTQ It's never in the bill. What they are doing is leading a fear-mongering effort. The bill, all it does is state what is age. It talks about what's appropriate in the classroom to teach, and then it talks about the fact that the parent has the right to be engaged in the education of their children.
So, common sense in my book. They have a thing, and I think they're going to go into it in this clip in a minute, where these schools were allowing children, third grade and under, to make decisions about how they want to identify in school, what name they might want to go. They could change their damn name. And all they had to do is go to the guidance counselor, talk about it with them, sign a paper, and there was an option on the paper for a child to sign where that information will not be shared with your parent, that you've made these decisions. And how in the blue moon does this happen? What you have to remember is Disney stood behind this group throughout this process. Disney thinks it's a good idea for kindergarten, first, second, and third grade kids to have this promoted to them.
And the reality is that these groups, they know they lose on that issue because Americans are demanding that. They want transparency in our schools, and parents want to be involved. And so instead of talking about that issue, they have created a complete false narrative, a false name, has nothing to do with the bill. So to the critics, I would tell them, stop lying. Just stop lying. There are people that are marginalized in this country, and you are using them as a political tool. And that's shame on groups and shame on people like the quote you just gave, because they are simply lying to further their agenda.
So the bill also allows parents to sue schools or teachers who engage in teaching around these topics. What do you say to the critics who say that that creates a chilling effect around having any types of discussions or gender identity or sexual orientation?
So, Lindsay, what the bill does is it allows school districts to sue if the school district is making changes, critical, so quote from the bill, making decisions, critical decisions that affect the student's mental and physical well-being. And so we're not just saying blanket they can sue based on they don't like something. What we're saying is when the school district makes decisions for a child and doesn't include the parent, that the parent should have an ability.
And I'm just curious if the bill addresses it in particular a student who might bring it up, right? Who might have questions about their sexuality that rather than talk about it at home for whatever reason, they might decide to talk it among classmates or a teacher at school.
I think that's probably the part, I appreciate you bringing that up, that I enjoy being able to talk about the most, because that's probably been the biggest lie of the bill. It's hard to pick which is the biggest lie, but probably the biggest lie is that we were limiting or chilling words, and that we were also eliminating discussion. Nowhere in the bill are we eliminating discussion. I value our teachers, the relationships that they have with our students tremendously. And so children, it is great that they have an opportunity to talk about themselves at school. And that doesn't mean that discussions can't happen. You can't limit what kids talk about. That's impossible. You also can't ban a word. This has been called the Don't Say Gay bill. Nowhere in it does it ban the word gay. So no one's limiting the discussion.
And just for my own understanding, so I just want to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly, that one of those changes that you're talking about, an example would be a questionnaire where a child has to fill out their pronoun or their sexuality or how they identify, correct?
Yeah, that's a great example. That is one of the examples that we have seen where one of the things, there is a questionnaire where the student has the ability to change their name, to change their pronoun that is used at school. And on that form, they are able to say that they do not want their parents to be engaged. They don't have to say why. The teacher doesn't have to do anything to understand why. They can just simply decide they're going to call the student by a different name at school because that's what the student wants.
Florida State Representative Joe Harding, we thank you so much for your time.
All right. So, again, the left-wing agenda has pushed these false narratives, as they always do. Bob Chapek, he gets the nickname Paycheck for a reason, took over from Bob Iger. Bob Iger took Disney to heights no one ever could have predicted. Stocks were soaring, and then Bobby comes along, and he has crashed the plane. The stocks have plummeted under his watch, as they should have. People are canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions en masse. Here's why Disney hasn't felt that yet. If you have Disney Plus, you already know you pay for a year in advance. In my case, when I canceled it, it's still paid for. I can still use it up until November, at which time it'll go away. That's when they're going to feel the fact that I'm not paying them almost $100. Between now and then, I suspect 80% of the people that canceled will also start hitting their bank account. And that's when they will start to feel all of those losses. So while it may not be impacting them immediately, it will be by 12 months' time. A lot of people have canceled their season tickets. Disney has priced themselves out, but they also have made it clear they're after a totally different demographic. They don't care about mom, dad, and the kids anymore. They're not interested in the middle class. They want only the people who can afford them, because they can't afford to do fast passes anymore. There's no way to regulate the lines. The only way to regulate the lines, which are insane, is to price people out so that the rich can get there, they can go there, they can have an experience and limited wait times, or at least reasonable wait times. And that's why they came up with the more recent Genie plan. So you pay your park ticket, which is hundreds of dollars, to walk in the gate. And yes, you can wait on lines without paying anything extra, but God knows you'll be waiting on lines, and you'll probably see 3 to 5 things max, depending on the time of the year. Or you can pay for the Genie upgrade, which will help you in the sense that it will tell you which attractions have the lowest wait time at every moment. But those might not be the attractions you actually wanted to go to. And then there's the final option. If you want to go to the Star Wars experience, not a problem. You want to skip to the front of the line, Rise of the Empire? You want to skip to the front of the line? There's a fast pass that's going to cost you like $25 on top of what you've already paid. So now you're basically scalping tickets. You're scalping fast passes from the mouse so that you can go on the ride that you paid $135 just to walk in the door to go to the first place. And that's just for that one ride, that one attraction. They've lost touch with reality. It's that simple. All of the stuff that I've shown you, Disney decided, because a small portion of Disney cast members who represent the left-wing lunacy got in Bob Chapek's ear and said, you're not doing enough to show that Disney supports us. You need to do something about this Florida law going in. And Disney decided to get cute and come out publicly against DeSantis. You got to remember, folks, elections have consequences. He was voted in. Floridians wanted him in then. They love him more now than they did when he was elected. I can promise you, I'm here. When you get somebody elected, they're there to represent the people. Disney, you're there to put on a stupid show and nothing else. Shut up. Shut up and do your stupid show and scalp your tickets to go to the front of the line at the longest attractions and shut up. You have no opinion that matters. You're an entertainment company and you're not even good at that anymore. Your stock is plummeting. Why? So they decide they're going to get up and they're going to try and rabble-rouse and they're going to try and overturn this as if they possibly could. And sure as hell, it went through in record-setting time. Disney started to balk and started to come back at them. Well, that made Governor DeSantis look at Disney and go, why is Disney not paying any tax on all their land? What most people don't understand is that the Walt Disney World Company, especially that in Central Florida, is on its own governing body. Now, try to understand how that works. Disney and all the land it sits on in Orlando is self-regulated, self-governed. They have their own mayor, legit. They have their own infrastructure. They are referred to as Reedy Creek. That is the township. There's fire departments, emergency units. They have their own, but they don't pay any tax. Now, look at Universal Studios in Orlando. Look at SeaWorld in Orlando. Look at every Walmart. None of them are self-governed. They all have to pay taxes to the state, but not Disney. Ron DeSantis looks at that and says, it's been like that for 60 years. Why? Well, it's just always been that way, sir. Oh, well, not anymore. And DeSantis, again, went through the House of Representatives and boom, in Florida and to his desk within 5 days. And guess what, Disney? You're no longer going to have your own governed land. You're going to do like everybody else. It's going to cost them millions of dollars. Disney's fighting back. They're coming up with some loopholes they think is going to keep them doing business as usual. They're going to find out they're wrong. But while all this is happening, while you're losing millions of subscriptions, while you are now no longer self-governing on your own tax-free land, two things are for sure. Stocks will continue to drop, and Disney executives will still get the same bonuses as if everything was glorious. I will not have anything to do with the Walt Disney World Company, and that includes promoting a game that I have loved for years, that I've featured on this channel, and quite honestly is the bulk of what's on this channel. I've had a good time with it. I've had a great time with the community that watches these videos and comments on them and join me for live streams. But in good conscience, the same way I told them thank you, no thank you when they called me to come back to work for them, and that was before all this happened. Oh, and let's address that once again. Had I said yes at that time, it was about 2 weeks later, maybe a little more, that the whole issue came into light that businesses had the right to insist that the people working for them had to get the jab, had to get the vaccine that really wasn't tested or proven yet, even if they didn't want it, or you're fired. So I would have left a job to go back to a job that said I was not essential, just to be fired from the job for not getting the vaccination, which I am not getting. I'm never going to get it. And amazing, I survived. Matter of fact, I know almost 80% of the people I associate with didn't get the shot, and all 80% are still here. Some of them even got sick, and they're still here and they're fine. I have nothing, there's no way I can in good conscience do anything with the Walt Disney World Company's logo and promote it in a positive spin, because I feel like I'd be part of that. I'd be supporting them in what they stand for, and what they stand for makes me sick. And if Walt were alive today, I can only imagine. I can only imagine how that would go. So because that was the bulk of this channel and the majority of what I do here, I don't see a point in continuing things on. So this is likely going to be the last video I ever do on this channel. Not saying it is, but I have zero intention at this time of doing anything else on this channel. I do appreciate those of you that were with me for the ride. All I can say is everyone makes up their own mind. You got to do what's right for you. This is what's right for me. Thanks a lot for listening. If you made it this far in the video, maybe you've got some more information than you had, and maybe it'll help you make decisions too. But again, do what's right for you. This is what's right for me. Thanks so much for the last time signing off. This is Old School. Thank you.